Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thursday, the 30th of October. We've got Halloween and the monthly close coming in tomorrow. So we had a FOMC yesterday. I don't really know what happened because I don't really follow on that well with it. Can anyone tell me what happened? And yeah, we'll start off by looking at the legend. Let's actually go to the hourly because it's a little bit better. So what's happening on the CoinGlass legend is we have tested the low of this volume area and actually bearishly retested the high of the volume area at 111.5, which is what I said that I didn't really want to lose. So I think potentially might have a little bit more down, but in general, this area is just noise to me, and I still do think we're going to go, back up to that 786. I mean, I've been saying that pretty much every week, so I feel like this is the painful down move, and we could go see some liquidations just below the low, which is possible. I don't even want to look at that today because we're going to look at it on the chart. So apart from that, which actually looks a bit bearish, we actually had some orders come and stack in at the highs as well, 600 Bitcoin and 360 Bitcoin. So nearly 1,000 Bitcoin holding us down just from that very, very recent SR flip. I think this wants to, hurtle a bit further down. And also the last one was up here. So we got that. This is the local one that we want to gain back for any sort of upside there. Let me actually just check the recording's fine and I'm on the right screen. Okay, I am on the right screen. Yeah, so that's the local one that we need to break. We actually just barely retested it. That's the one that we broke a little bit higher up at 115.8. I did think we were going to kind of find a little bit of support on 111.5 and maybe bounce up a little bit first, but you can kind of just see on the hourly in this whole sort of down move, we've just been bearishly retesting areas and going lower since we did the move on, what's that, 2 days ago? Since Tuesday, basically. But yeah, nothing too crazy. I will kind of show on the liquidations, obviously on the Friday. Oh, I've got an update to do. No, not right now. Please don't update me right now. I should just take some of this off. Okay, fine. Sorry, I'm having technical issues. There you go, fine. So, in the spirit of this local downtrend, I have marked on with these two boxes some liquidation clumps down here. And then obviously we've got the 105.5k low, which is kind of what we don't really want to hold. But there is some liquidations below. Now, I believe we are in a bit of a downtrend, obviously, ever since we've done this, especially on the 4 hour, and then what I showed you about the hourly at the highs. So we are in a bit of a downtrend ever since here, ever since pretty much this week. But I do believe that all this downtrend is just noise. I believe that, even wicks down here, it's just noise. And, this is going to get hit. I'm pretty adamant on that. Obviously, there's a chance that we could, just absolutely go all the way down towards 80k in here, which is untested. That's fine. And we've also got this, which is untested as well at 95. It's a possibility that we could just break 100k and go all the way down, but I generally do believe that this whole area is just going to be noise, and that we are going to see 121 to, even the liquidations, all that 128 are still in play for me. So yeah, I feel like in the local price action, we got a bit of pain in us, but it's generally just going to be noise. This is just a big range, 115 to 100k. This is just a big low range, and yeah, I think it's just noise again in general. Watch out for these liquidation pockets if we do sort of start getting into the stuff at 106.5. There's another one at 105 ish as well, just below the low that we don't want to lose. And then it kind of actually goes all the way down into 100k, where there is a little bit of a dead zone below 100k as well. So if we do start getting into like 101, all this liquidations and clear all that out, I do think again it's probably going to reverse at that point, and everyone's going to be max fear. Everyone's probably going to, you know, exit their longs. There's going to be loads of shorts, hopefully in that area, and that will see a bounce. But anyway, I just think this is all just noise, and I'm still targeting 121. Anyone think any different? We maybe get like a little bit more sideways grindy down with some like wicks below the low, and then fully like just reverse the whole range. I'm just gonna turn that all off. Anyway, ETH. What's happening with ETH? So ETH's failing its low. It's low. It's actually doing a bearish retest as well. Doesn't look that great in the local price action, to be honest. We are in support, but again, nothing too crazy. We do have a cluster down below here, which I would be interested in per my new strategy if, yes, the combination band were to line up. So this low is potentially interesting for a long, somewhere in between 3.8 to 3.75 ish. I would be interested in for an ETH long in that area. So I'm actually going to just turn that off for simplicity's sake. And yeah, we'll see how it goes per the new strategy. Of course, you're going to want to have a stop. Yeah, probably like 2%. So I'll probably take it on 3x and put a 2% stop in this box. And we'll see how it goes. There's potential that we could actually take all of this stuff as well. But I'm going to be aiming for the first one. Interesting, eh? Interesting. We'll try out this new strategy. It's called the Liquid Band. Will you post your new strategy? I will. I'm just in the testing phase, but I'm just doing it on stream for you guys. So actually, let's talk about the ones that I did take yesterday or got hit randomly. So one of them was AVAX. So one of them was AVAX, and it was on. I'll just show you actually the way that this happens. So I basically just box off where the liquidations meet the 4-hour combination band. I basically just use a box, and very, very simply, that's my buy zone. So if I turn them off, you'll just see the box down in there. And you can turn on auto charting tools and see kind of what lines up, but also this kind of like lines up with the low quite nicely. So you could also extend this box out pretty much all the way to there. And that's my area of interest. So when we came down here, I had these all set from basically when we did the break of structure down here. Literally pinged into it and got a perfect 5% bounce. So I took some profit, and I think I've been stopped out at break even, or I'm about to be stopped out at break even. So we'll take that one as a dub, pretty much. And actually, the one to the upside would have been a win as well, which would have been this box. But obviously, I didn't take it because I was only doing it right here. So I guess there would be another one if we did come up to the highs around here. Just extend that out a little bit. I guess there'll be another one up there to see. So let me set a low on that actually. So that's one dub. Another one I had set on was Aave. And again, similar sort of thing. Box off the liquidations in the combination band. Again, box off the liquidations in the combination band. Take them off. Throw on auto charting tools. You don't even really need an oscillator for this strategy. And then the break of structure is where you catch the long, and it just pings straight up. Again, took another little bit of profit on this, probably around 3 to 4%, sort of around there. And I'm probably going to get it stopped out on the rest. So still a dub. But yeah, we're yet to actually catch a proper fat off knife. And even so, if I do catch a knife and it nukes straight through me, I'll lose 6%. Because what I'm doing is I'm trading 2% raw stops, and I'll either trade on 2 or 3x max. 3x max. So 2 times 3 is 6%. 6% stop if I do absolutely just get ruined through to the next one. But the last one I actually took, which was working out really well, was Sui. So same sort of thing. Box off the higher leverage around the combination band. Turn all those off. Basically get hit. This actually pinged up 7%, and I thought this was going to go all the way up to the highs, which would have been amazing. But yeah, took a little 25%, set the stop to break even, probably stopped out at break even on the rest. So we are 3 for 3 so far, and I only just started doing this week, so I'll just run through that quickly right now. I am 3 for 3, although they're not the best trades. They're not the most profitable. They are still profitable because, you know, they pinged up, took some profit, set the stop to break even. So yeah, I'm gonna note down all of these trades, and at the end of every week, probably on Fridays, we'll probably do a roundup, and then we'll see how it goes throughout the month of November. But this is called the liquid band. And it's actually quite simply just a liquidation strategy. You're basically just bidding liquidations. And the reason why I've kind of started doing this is because I feel like recently I talked about bidding your stop, right? So what actually happens is when we get to like lows, so for example, this 4-hour low here, what happens is you actually get below it and you'll get stopped out if you're trying to long this area. Usually it'll be sort of like the 786 to 886 pocket, and the liquidation pocket will actually be in tandem with the swing fail area or the 115. And so if you're trying to, of course, the 786 to 886 pocket is still, you know, the pocket. But what if you get lit grabbed on your position? The liquidations and the 115 swing fail usually lines up quite nicely. So again, you can come down to like major lows where you want to hold and actually breach it, and that's where the flip will come, because people will think we're breaking through, they'll close their longs or they'll start to short, and then that's when we'll like ping back up, and that'll be just the liquidation grab for the liquidity. So it's actually quite an interesting notion. It kind of goes with what I was saying about potentially bidding or stop if you're bidding like a low or a stupid pocket. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm gonna definitely test it out and see what kind of results it has. So for example, on a hype, it will be, I've got here and here. So we'll see what happens if we do get up to like 51.1, and if we get a reversal, or if we get back down to 41.2-ish, and if we get a reversal that way. So I'm actually gonna set a couple of alerts on this in the meantime while I can do my testing. So yeah, the new strat is 3 for 3 at the moment, even though we are stopped out on them pretty much around now. But yeah, let's actually have a look at ETH. So yeah, ETH's kind of like failing its low. I also believe, like with like Bitcoin, that this is all just noise right now. All of this is just noise, and even if we get to some of these liquidations below this low at like 3.8, I think we're gonna get a nice bounce. And again, if I look at the daily time frame, especially on some of these oscillators, like, you know, like we are actually potentially getting a cross on the daily time frame on Harmony, which is not great. But, you know, if we come like further down on this oscillator and this drops down into liquidations and we actually get a lower low, this is probably going to bull dip again on the daily. So this whole area for me is just chop city. This is just chop city. And anything down here is potentially an area to long for higher, for a target of 4.6 to 4.7. Similar thing with Bitcoin, similar thing with ETH right now. I just think this is all just noise. It's all just noise for me. But yeah, if you're trading local price action, then you basically wouldn't have really caught it until there's not really a clear failure until here, really. Until that. So I don't really like trading that way. It's probably the most safe way of trading, like doing the and price action is always going to be king. But I just don't find it really suits me that well. So yeah, does anyone have anything to look at or anything they want to go over? It's a bit of a different sort of like market update because I'm just kind of showing off something new which I'm trying out, and I am still in the testing phase of this. But I think if this has a good hit rate, I'm gonna just purely post sort of like liquidation / combination band areas in Pro Sigs, so everyone can just have 4-hour potential swing areas to like long or short. I was doing some posing this morning, man. I'm fat. VK, bro, you're not fat. You're pretty big, aren't you? Oh yeah, you are a bit fat. No, I'm joking. You look a bit like Will, bro. That's a dad. That's a proper dad bod. That's a proper dad bod. You kind of look like, bro. You kind of look in that picture. You kind of look like, what's that fucking? Who's that fat cop that's in the movies? Is it Paul Blart? Kind of look like Paul Blart, bro. Someone get a picture of Paul Blart. Is that Paul Blart? Hold on. Let me go to GIFs. Paul Blart. Is it Paul Blart? Blurt? Blart. Yeah. Yeah. Lol. Paul Blart in that picture. Rough. Yeah, that is a rough one. No, that's Zeus, bro. Yeah, that ain't you, BK. That's Zeus. Paul Blart. But anyway, so while focusing on this new strategy, let's just kind of see how it's historically performed on some of this stuff. So render would be right now, actually, because we're actually getting into some of that stuff. But the other one lower down would be down here. So on render, this actually would be potentially 1 to long, especially if this 4-hour candle closes above there. I'm actually going to take a small one, you know, here. Yeah, I actually don't like this local price action, but in terms of for the science, for my testing, I'm going to take a really small one. This is not a proper trade, by the way. This is just for my testing. Let me make sure that I'm not. Yeah, okay. I'll do it after the stream actually. So I'm actually going to take a little test one on render because I want to be faithful to my testing. So there's one there. Let's have a look on Pepe. I think I've already done it on Pepe. Pepe's actually in one at the moment. Put those on. Pepe's actually in one at the moment, which actually did wicket. So again, I might take one on Pepe and see for the testing purposes. Let's get a chart. Let's get something that I haven't really done it on. Let's do like Doge. Yeah, okay. It's pretty hard to do this actually because after this big dump, we've got some imbalance in the combination band. So actually, we can kind of test it out on BNB, which is actually something which is relatively stable. So the first one would have been that area there. The second one would be this area here. Yes. And the idea is to box these off before the move. So basically, when you're here, when you're in this area, that's when you would box off this part. And like vice versa, when you start veiling the weekly open, when you're in this area, that's when you start boxing off this part. yeah, that seems to have hit perfectly twice. So not bad. Not bad at all. We'll have to do some more testing on this actually. Because like it's not like you come into a liquidation pocket and a combination man and it will just hold. Sometimes it will probably just nuke through to the next one, especially if a lot of people are longing that area. And same with going up. Sometimes you're probably just going to rip to the upside. That's fine. But it remains to be seen how often that will happen. Maybe it'll be like 1 or 2 times out of 10 that will happen, and you'll probably take a 6% stop if your risk management is fine. But if it works 7 or 8 times out of 10, 7 or 8 times out of 10, you're going to at least be in profit. So, yeah, it's actually interesting. Let's see what happens on Solana here. Let's do that one at the top. And I've already got one on the bottom, so we'll take those off. Bang, you don't even really need auto charting tools. And so, yeah, this is the next one. This is actually one that I'm keen to try out on Sol because it hasn't really hit any of them yet. And you can see that there'll be obviously a lot of liquidations above this wick here. And then, you know, apparently there should be a lot below here as well, actually. Yeah, there is a decent amount. But this is where, so this is actually my favorite. This is what I'm realizing is my favorite setup to do with this strategy, is where the high leverage comes in on the edge of the combination band. So when there's high leverage on the edge of the combination band, that's when I'm a little bit more like, okay, it's go time. And if this grinds down and actually we get quite close to being oversold on the oscillator, that's probably just another level of confidence that if we start like resting on the yearly open, then we might get like a wick in and then something like that. So yeah, if this suits your style of trading, feel free to have a go. Well, actually, I would like to test it out a little bit more first, to be honest. That's me. Yeah, bro. Gotta get them calories in, innit? Gotta get them calories in. So yeah, this is the next one that I'll probably want to try out and see if it actually hits. So it'll be Sol. And I'll tell you guys this is on stream just so I can watch it back. Sol 207 to the Q4 285, basically. And you could actually extend that to the top of the wick, but anyway. And then to the downside, it'll be like 1875 to 1855, below the previous weekly open. So we'll see how that plays out. I've got some orders. I've got some. I'll probably have to set some orders after this stream. Render's in one. Pepe's in one right now. So I'm gonna take small. I'm not gonna take full on trades, by the way, because I'm just in the testing phase. So I'll take one on Pepe, and it'll probably be like a stop below here or something. And I'll probably also take one on Render just for science, to see if we do, basically, obviously this is the low, and then this might be the deviation, and ping up into that one. Be interesting. I want to see what the hit rate is. I'm very interested in this, because it will be the most easy out the box strategy for anyone to do. You don't even need anything. You can literally just double tap the chart, put trend master and liquidations on, box them off, and then literally just have a fresh chart where you can be like, oh, okay, this is my long zone, this is my short zone. Sorry for hitting the mic there. If you really wanted to take this to the next level, yeah, look for something with a higher high, like here, and pull the fib, and your liquidation pocket should sit just below, in between the 1 and the 115. It's like that. And then you can even go to the hourly and do it like this. There's also support there as well, which is nice. Cool. Cool. So yeah. Anyone want to talk about anything in particular, or yeah, should I just keep going? I mean, I've kind of talked about my strategy enough. Let's see if the tier 1 actually hits. Yeah. Should bounce up here if it's going to. If not, it's gonna probably go for the low. But let's see. This one actually worked, to be fair, because you would have set your box. Basically, this is how you gotta look at it. You would have set your box probably well up somewhere in this structure when you were doing these failures, these wicks. That's when you would have drew your box here. So by the time you did this wick, you would have got hit and pinged up nearly 8% instantly. So I guess this is not valid anymore, really, because it's already been hit. But yeah, it's an interesting little strategy for you guys to try out. Well, I'm definitely trying it out at this moment in time, and we'll see how it goes. Got someone near here, which is quite interesting, getting quite close to hitting that. This one definitely would have hit a nice short, as you can see. This is where they crossed over. This would have been this would have been a perfect short actually. And now, if you were in that short, you would have been taking profit in this high leverage stuff here, literally on that wick, and then you would be potentially looking at entering a long on this trade somewhere in here. So I might set a little long on that as well and just test it out. But this is in the testing phase, so. Max posted a trade in Pro Singles. Is he saying to enter at this level, do you think? I'm already long from 184, but just wondering. I actually haven't had a look at it. So there's a nice R long in the blue box, basically where we are now. Stops below the wick for the risk. Easy setup. Don't monitor. Set everything up. Forget about it for 1 week. Yeah, he's basically just saying this whole area is a potential long just because of the recent high that we made. So I'll just show you it on this chart here. The Coinbase is basically just saying this whole area here is the long because of this high, this new high here, right? And there's a bit of support down here as well. Yeah, I would actually probably make it a little bit more tight to maybe like this, something like that. It's quite a big area though. I mean, he's trading on spot, so you have to be a bit more precise if you're trading with leverage. But yeah, that's what Mr. Maxio is saying. He's saying, yeah, just ladder in. This is long zone. If you're already long from 108, yeah, 108, yeah, you're fine. You should probably just ladder orders in below your entry price. So if we do wick below, you're going to catch some orders, which is going to bring your entry price down. If you're already very like heavily margined into a trade, I'd take a bit of profit because I mean you did wick up quite nicely from 108. You actually wicked from 108 to 111.5, which is about, what's that, 3%, which is not bad. You should probably take a little 20% off. And then yeah, just absolutely relax. You're in relaxation mode, bro. We're at a weird point at the moment where all the mentors are split on Bitcoin. Yes, I have actually realized we are all very, very splintered. Max is calling long. Will's kind of on the fence, but he's a bit more bearish. Stu's a bit more bearish. And Adrian thinks down. Stu rather short every pump at the moment. Max bullish. I am bullish till liquidity above is taken. You want 121. It's confused. We are all actually very on different pages. I think that even the bears like Stu and Will and Adrian probably believe that there is one more wick, but they are bearish on the overall structure, which I would say I am leaning more towards overall bearish than bullish at the moment. Just because I think that 121 is going to get hit doesn't mean I'm actually bullish on the structure. I still am quite bearish, and I do think we are going to enter a bear market soon. I just believe that after such a liquidation event and like looking at the charts and liquidations, that if we're going to go into a bear market, like we could easily grind down and like do like a falling wedge all the way into 100k, and then everyone thinks we're going into a bear market, and then we'll rip the highs. That's why I believe that everything now is just noise. Like even if we like grind down all the way to 105, I just think that's just classic like grind down, get you out of your long position, and then they're just gonna reverse it. That's just what my gut tells me. Maybe I'll be wrong, but it's actually an interesting observation that everyone is kind of saying different things, like, and we are in a bit of a weird spot in the market as well. Anyway, have you done grid bots using this method? No, I have not. Could actually be an interesting little caveat. But the reason why I'm trialing out this method is because if I'm away or if I'm not on the charts a lot, so say like I go and do some more traveling next year, I need two strategies that are going to work for me that I can set limits on. One is obviously the stupid fibs. I can just bid AA6s with the stop below the low. But if that doesn't work, I need like a swing fail strategy, and it's just simply going to be this, because usually what I'll go for is like, I mean, take out that wick, it'll be something like that, and the box will hit somewhere in the swing fail. So for example, even like, well, Sol actually isn't sitting in the swing fail, is actually not lining up that nicely. But actually like Bitcoins, so per this strategy, yeah, that I was just been talking about, well actually the 4 hours not really sitting. The 4 hour would have been, where did that go? That was actually just there. Per Bitcoin's one, it would have been a long in that, on that wick. So quite similar to what you were saying about your 108 long. And then of course, like if we come up and we bearishly retest and we don't make a new high, like you're looking at it to break and it to go to the next one. So it's actually quite interesting that I've boxed off these two. Sorry, let me stop turning that. I boxed off these two really big liquidation zones on Bitcoin. Whoops. Let me just get rid of that. I've boxed these two off, and that so happens to line up with the swing fail area for the fib pool, because we do have a new high here, and I pulled it from the low. So this is the zone that if we get down into, people are probably going to be max fearful, and that's probably going to be max long zone. So it's interesting that it does come underneath structure lows. So it's like, break this low, oh no, we're breaking structure, but then we get into liquidations in the swing fail, and then we do that. Let's see. Let's try it out. I'll be scaling everything on hyperliquid for sure. I'm only bullish because I want to capture the upside before I grab my shorts to the high. Also agree. I'm on your page, Zeus, bro. I'm literally on your page, Zeus. I am bearish. Like, do you believe that we are near the end, or at the end, or Bitcoin has basically nearly topped out? And I do believe it will probably top out. If we get one more high, it'll probably be 128. I don't like, I was starting to talk about 130, 135, 145 as weekly liquidation levels. It's all possible, but I just believe that if there is one more high, it'll be like a really weak one like last time, and we're just losing steam. And best believe once we get up there, I will be shorting. So like, for the other way, whoops. My charts are bugging. Yeah, I can kind of see the vision. This is all just noise to me, this area. Selfish PA. Being legit at the same price we were at the beginning of the month is always rough. Yeah, I mean, it's just all noise, isn't it? Wait, so what were we at the start of the month? We were at, well, end of September, we were at 108. We're at 108, so yeah. Pretty much. I'd say that at the start of the month, we were actually at 113. 113, nearly probably 114, actually. No, I'm joking. True, stocks are also a risk as they are so extended. A pullback there will dump past. Yeah, bro, pullback anywhere will dump anything. Although I feel like the stock market's like just going up, bro. Like, did they cut rates yesterday? Can someone tell me? They did cut rates, yeah. 0.25. Okay, so they cut rate because I don't even know. I don't even listen. I'm not gonna lie. I don't listen to that shit anymore. So they cut rates. So they're gonna start. So and they're cutting rates and they're printing money. You know, they don't really need to say much more. Good for risk on. Good for the old risk on. So yeah, apart from that, I'm just gonna be I'm gonna be shelling out this strategy for the next 4 weeks. I'm gonna do some proper. You know, it's quite fun. I'm getting back into my journaling. Like when I actually used to learn how to trade, used to like write in depth about every single trade that I took. So obviously you write the time, the leverage, the margin, the stop, where you took profit, what you did wrong, what you could have done better, if you caught a knife, if you know, all that sort of shit. I'm going to do it for this. It's going to be fun. QT stopping next week, yeah. So technically good news, although priced in probably, yeah. The fact that it's priced in is probably the big dump anyway, so I think we're going to get one more. But yeah, I've just realized now that I've just realized that probably another way that we could incorporate something into this strategy is that, so on retail stablecoin demand, up here, down here, what will happen quite a lot of the time is when a divergence comes up, it will mean that the next move is a false move. So let's just try and find a chart with a divergence. But there isn't really any at the moment. Okay, let's just say, for example, that sold diverged on the retail stablecoin demand somewhere here. If that were to happen and I had my box below or above, doesn't matter which way, I would be more confident in that box because the next move on the retail stablecoin demand on price is usually a false move. So is this bullishly diverged here? I'd be looking at this move down as being a false move and that liquidation pocket as being the ping. So that's just another maybe level of confidence that I'm going to probably add in. You know what? I'm full on just making a new strategy this week. Oh, damn. Look at this. So let's try it out on this. Is this a P chart? Yeah, this is a P chart. Okay, let's try it on Filecoin because this actually had some decent moves recently. So the first one would have been probably around there, that whole area. And the second one would have been, I mean, you had some high leverage stuff up here, so it probably would have been something like that. You could maybe make it a little bit bigger. Well, oops, probably something like that. The reason why I'm doing it up here is because if you were looking at the chart back here, you would have been looking at this high leverage stuff. Actually, you probably would have been looking at that. So that probably wouldn't have hit because that went a bit higher. So that wouldn't have hit. But this would have, because you would either would have got pinged here and then went all the way up 15%, or you would have got pinged here and went up 16%. It's not bad. You know, it's not bad. However, that would have definitely stopped you out. So you definitely do need a hard stop on this. A hard stop. I'd say 2% raw on the price. You can pick your leverage. You can go 1x if you want to risk 2%. You can go 2x if you want to risk 4%. Or if you have a bit higher risk tolerance, you can go 3x or risk 6%. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to stop my recording now. Stop my recording.